Yes. Good morning, everyone. In the last week, Saturday's class, we were talking about the design futures of. Last week, we were talking about the design futures of design and development phase. And now, let us have a revision on module 3, and as well as let us have a small revision on this module 1 and module 2 also. And then let's start with the module 4. So module 1, you started with metrics. So module 1, you can categorize into the two equal half. The first half will be talking on metrics, and second half will be talking on software configuration management. So in metrics, we started with what is called metrics, and then the metrics or roadmap, and then the typical metrics strategy, and what should you measure, and how should you set the target, and how should you track them, and acting on data. And then the second half, you talked about configuration management. What is mean by a configuration, and what is mean by configure ID, and what is mean by a configurable item. And then you talked about activities of software configuration management, and configuration status accounting audit. And there we talked about an interesting example called geographically distributed project, how to manage with the globally distributed project team and the normal other one. And second, we have moved on to module 2. Module 2 has a more, module, module 2, we have talked about a more important topic in the life of software project managers, that is risk management. So we talked about what is risk management and why it is too important to talk to understand. In risk management cycle, we talked about risk identification, risk mitigation, risk monitoring. We talked about these three things. And moving to this risk identification, quantification, monitoring, and mitigation. And what are the risks involved in project team? If we talk about risk involved in project team, the risk involved in globally distributed project team is more than the risk involved in the local project team. And that is the other part of module 2. So in module 1 and only two topics, like what I can call module 1 has only two topics, metrics and the software configuration management. Whereas module 2 has three topics. One is one is risk management, and second one project planning and tracking, and third one project closure. Okay. And second project planning and tracking, we are talking about the different components of project planning and tracking. We focus on five things: what, when, how, by whom, and when. You're talking about these five things about this. What asked, when, how, and by whom. And next to that, the last half part of module 2, we are talked about project closure. So when project closure happens, and why should we do explicitly have a project closure, and what is an effective closure process. And these are the things about module 2. And if we talk about this module 3, see in module 3, as I said earlier, we have three topics. What you can divide this into three equal halves. I can focus on three major parameters. Like one is software requirements gathering, and second one estimation, and third part will be design and development phase. So if you take textbooks, you can see all these will be three chapters of the textbook. So first, we talked about software requirements gathering. Like there, we talked about inputs and start criteria for requirements gathering and dimensions of requirement gathering. What are the different dimensions and steps to be followed for the requirements gathering process? And we talked about the skills kit that are required for an requirements gathering process, and what are the challenges that have to be faced or addressed during this requirements gathering phase. And next, estimation. So what is estimation? Why estimation? Uh, when we should do the estimation? And what are the three phases of estimation and estimation methodology? And what are the formal models that we should use for size estimation? And translating phase estimate into effort estimate, and again, in turn, translating effort estimate into schedule estimate. And what are the common challenges during estimation? And then design and development phase. So design and development phase is the last topic which we are talking now. And let me move on to it. Okay. So this is where design and development phase that we're talking. And in the last one, we have also talked about the most important attributes like functionality points, EFP, and the other one, LOC lines of code. So KLOC lines of code and KLOC lines of code and the functionality point. And next, design and development phases. So what are the how to have certain design development in our project? So which all we should focus more and which all we should focus less. And next to that, we talked about this 11 design issues. This 11 design issues are more important in this particular module. Even you can expect these things for your university exams. Okay, so salient features of design, and let us try to understand this 11 features in short. So first, evolving an architect blueprint. See, when I talk about something called modeling, so which helps me to analyze or to model, uh, think about different things. I mean, having something prior to its implementation. So this is how if this will be get implemented, that is modeling. So model allows you to have simplification of reality to be short. So blueprint, I mean, which will help you to understand the architecture of a system, right? So in prior to its implementation, almost this is we talk this in respect to civil engineer and building construction, but that is not the only role. That is not the only place where these things are get used, right? So we use these kind of terms even in software projects and software kind of projects. And the role of this is also like I told you discussed. And if you talk about an UML, UML is also a blueprint again, which helps you to come out. See, UML stands for Unified Modeling Language. And as a definition, so UML is a language which can be applied for specifying the requirements, constructing, uh, documenting, and developing the artifacts of a software component system, software intensive system. So where it talks about the things in all aspects. Even if you can use that to modeling or model is a simplification of a reality, right? So design for reusability and reusability. I would even you a small example of this in terms of functions. So when you need to reuse the code and where you wish certain code to be get reused and designed for technology choices or constraints. So what are the choice that I have to choose with the right technology? And to be excel, I should be upgraded with the current technology, or they can call like current latest, current trended technology in the business market. Only that will make my project or growth to be successful. And if I was unable to cope, if I was unable to cope up with the current what I can call a business choice or the constraint in the business market, then I'm not going to get succeed further in the next developing stages in design to standards. Here we are talking about the two things. One is internal standard, one is external standard. So a standard that is set within the company, that is internal standard. External standard, which we talk related to the current business market domain. Okay, and next design for portability. So portable in nature. So which should be portable and which should be easy. Here always we come with the two things like portable, reliable, flexible. This always there with the all sort of projects and user interface issues. So this we are talking about graphical user interface. You can take this user interface. We talked about an example like ATM screen, and also moreover to this, I've asked you to go with the case study, like using an SRS documentation, SRS template to understand in brief about this particular thing, user interface issue, and design for testability. Okay, can make the things to be tested and make to be get active. A design for diagnosability. To be in short, a design for a diagnosability is a concentrate focus or find the what I can call like find the root cause of the problem. So whatever the problem that we are staked out, the finding the root cause of the particular problem, and then trying to overcome from it. That is design for diagnosability and design for maintainability. How I'm going to maintain particular things and installability. And the last one, interoperability and design. So these are the 11 features of design or the major pillars of this module 3. Okay. So module 3, we will be focusing on all these three aspects like the one we talked about software requirements gathering and next estimation, design and development phase. In module 4, our major focus will be on two things like again project management. So earlier we talked about plan, requirement study, and then design and development phase. And now we will move on to testing and maintenance. Okay, so testing and maintenance will be this module 4. So what is the testing phase? Project management in the testing phase and project management in the maintenance phase. So these are the two areas where we will be talking on this module 4. Okay. So like what is testing and what are the activities that make up testing in test scheduling and types of test and people issues in testing and management structures for testing in global teams and project management in the maintenance phase like activities during the maintenance phase and the management issues during the maintenance phase and skills get sets for people in the maintenance phase. So estimating size effort and people for the maintenance phase. And we are talking about two things now, right? Globally distributed project team and the local project team. So how what are the different aspects, what are different things that I'm going to I'm going to focus on these things, like how I'm going to manage the things when it is globally distributed and when it is being in a local system. Okay, so this is just an overview of module 4. We'll be just moving from design development phase to the next topic called mm, what I can call it testing and development phase. Okay, so now we shall talk in brief about this few things, and let's try to go with the next topic. In module 4, we think we shall have a small vision on these topics, and then we shall get into this module 4 in the next class. I think so. Okay. So software requirements gathering. This is where our discussion started earlier, right? With this module 3. So software requirements gathering. So let me move on to that. So this is where you started with this software requirements gathering. So what are the start criteria for requirement and understanding in detail about the software components that are required as part of our software requirements gathering process. See, if you take a software engineering textbook, you can see there is a separate module, separate component unit will be there called requirements gathering. Okay, and it will be better if we talk in deep about planning. So what is planning and how do we plan and how we manage certain things. Okay. Now let us talk about in deep about planning, and then let us get back to this module for like there's a design and development phase. Okay. Just me wait for a minute.